while the radical elements are also whipping up cries of jihad against India. With that as backdrop, here's an exclusive story by Headlines Today. We bring you the inside story of the Nariman House encounter.
Nariman House, Colaba, the Mumbai headquarters of the ultra-Orthodox Chabad Lubavitch movement of Jews. It's the epicenter of the Jewish community in the city. It was open to anyone who wanted a place to pray, eat kosher food, make a stopover, or celebrate Jewish holidays. Rabbi Gabriel Holzberg and his wife Rivka were caretakers of Chabad House. 9:45 p.m., November 26, 2008. Two terrorists storm into the 5-story building. They open fire indiscriminately. The rabbi's family is taken hostage. One of the gunmen had a mobile phone. The number 98194-64530. The two men kept firing randomly. At frequent intervals, they lobbed grenades outside. The terrorists took complete control of the building, holding positions in the 4th and 5th floors. It was a night of mayhem and murder. But the worst was yet to come. November 27th, 2008. By next afternoon, NSG commandos were ready to take over the operation. All of a sudden, the mobile phone of one of the terrorists rang. It was a call from Pakistan.
There, in fact, were 3 calls from Pakistan which happened between the 27th and the 28th, the transcripts of which are available with Headlines Today. And one of those calls pertained to the release of Ajmal Amir Kasab. The lone terrorist was taken in alive, and the handlers in Pakistan were very keen on ensuring that this terrorist could be extricated from the hands of the authorities.
They were desperate. The handlers in Pakistan ordered the terrorist to ensure Ajmal Amir Kasab is released along with his AK-47. Now, he was a dead giveaway. Pakistan was involved.
The conversation with Moshe's mother ends abruptly. The terrorist Babar puts the handset to his ear and chats with his handlers sitting in Pakistan.
इसकी बात हुई है, अभी किसी भी वक्त आएगा उन लोगों का।
मेरे नंबर पर?
हाँ, आपके नंबर पर अथॉरिटीज फोन करेंगे। क्या चाहते हो आप लोग पूछेंगे। तो आपने ना सबसे पहले ये कहना कि ये जो ना आंसू गैस की शेलिंग हो रही है, फायरिंग हो रही है, ये सिलसिला बंद हो सबसे पहले। मतलब ना 5 मिनट के अंदर आर्मी इलाका खाली कर दे। मतलब ना ये सिलसिला अगर चलता रहा तो हम लोग ना फिर सब्र इंतजार नहीं करेंगे। आप लिखो इन चीजों को। अच्छा, जो ऑपरेशन हो रहा है ताजमहल में, ओबरॉय में और आपके ऊपर, 3 जगह, इन तीनों जगहों पर ऑपरेशन फौरी तौर पर रोका जाए। अच्छा ना, दूसरा ना, इन्होंने कहना है हमारा एक बंदा गिरफ्तार किया है कल। उनसे ये कहना है कि बंदा फौरी तौर पर यहां आपके लेकर आए। उनसे ये कहना है कि उसके वेपन सहित आपके पास पहुंचाया जाए, जख्मी या जिस हाल में। ठीक है ना? और अगली बात करनी है, आप लोगों से मुज़ाकरात किया जाए, कहे हमारी डिमांड्स है सुनी जाए, इस मसले को हल किया जाए, ऑपरेशन रोका जाए। और खाना वाना खाया?
थोड़ा बहुत।
ये लोग तो पार्टी शार्टी कर रहे हैं, खाना तो होना चाहिए। अच्छा, ये लोग हलाल की खाते हैं, हराम नहीं खाते ये लोग, तो वो कोई मसला नहीं है।
This conversation happened on the afternoon of November the 27th, and Ajmal Amir Kasab was arrested at midnight on the 26th from Girgaon Chowpatty. His master sitting in Pakistan knew he had been caught, and that's why the discussion the following day about his release. The lives of the hostages would be spared if Kasab was facilitated safely to Nariman House with his weapons. The deadly phone call wasn't over. The conversation between the terrorist and his handler continued. On the one end was Babar, one of the dreaded hostage takers inside Nariman House. On the other, a changing retinue of handlers safely behind enemy lines in Pakistan. Ashish Khaitan in Mumbai for Headlines Today.
We have with us at this time Mr. K.C. Singh, former Secretary of the Ministry of External Affairs. Mr. Singh, it clearly seems that the terrorist handlers were well aware of the importance of Kasab, and they wanted him released because they realized that here was one person who could have revealed their sordid saga.
Well, this is again proof positive, if any proof is required, that he's a Pakistani. Now, Pakistan is not even willing to accept this very first, very primary piece of information. Where are they going to accept the rest? But I think Pakistan has to wake up. This is a wake-up call. And we have to keep up the global pressure. If we can convince the Committee of Nations, the global community, about the gravity of this act, about the complicity of people in Pakistan, I have no doubt Pakistan will be compelled to face it. But at the moment, the denials are coming fast and thick. Expectation that they will finally see reason in accepting the facts is being belied.
So Pakistan remains in denial mode. Why do we expect the world community to fight our case? Fine, let's take the world along. But shouldn't India also take firm steps to ensure Pakistan acts? Now, what should be 3 steps, according to you, that India should take at this point of time to ensure Pakistan knows that we mean business?
See, you always talk of when US talked after 9/11, they talked of punishment and prevention. Now, this is the punishment part. Punishment can be economic, punishment can be military, but they'll have to be on an escalating scale. I think the military part comes last. But at the moment, we should focus also on prevention, which is what I think the government has done. Some they have done. Much more needs to be done. Now, if you do not safeguard yourself, no one's going to save you. Pakistan will come back next time, the same forces in Pakistan, with a renewed. So that's why I always say this is Mumbai 3. Mumbai 1 was 1993, simple bombs using the Dawood Ibrahim network. Mumbai 2 was 2006, a more sophisticated operation using the bombs in the railways, like the Spanish bombings, and this is Mumbai 3. But I think this time what has happened is that the very technology which has been employed by the perpetrators, thinking that they will use voice over internet and so on and so forth, has actually entrapped them because they've left a trail. So this is for the first time that we've got a trail leading back to Pakistan, which is electronic, which is watchable, seeable, and also shareable. And this is what we are telling the rest of the world.
All right, the trail helps them achieve and execute an operation with a high level of sophistication. It also ensures that proof is left behind of Pakistan's direct involvement in these operations. General Dhillon, what do you make of the way the handlers were interacting with the terrorists? There were several people who come in at different points in time to talk to the terrorists. There wasn't one person who was guiding the terrorists. Does it appear to you that there might have been a command and control center somewhere deep within Pakistan that had multiple TVs in front of it, looking at what's happening on those television screens and thereby guiding the terrorists holed up in Nariman House and elsewhere?
What I should say, yes, the way the transcripts reveal, there were various people trying to guide them. It's quite evident now that it was being handled by perhaps their army or the ex-ISI people, and they wanted no failures, and that's the reason they kept on guiding them for a small even a measure to fire, like take out your barrel, throw a grenade here, have you eaten food, a sort of a little lack of professionalism, but maybe they were trying to encourage them. When they saw the response that came in from the Indian side, they were a little shaken up. I have a feeling that it was their mentors in terms of army.
While clearly there was a command and control system in Pakistan, Rahul, a command and control system in India, in Mumbai, was lacking.
Absolutely. What we're doing right now is thanking our guest, Mr. Singh, and the General for joining us on the show. When we come back, for the benefit of all our viewers who've just tuned in, we'll play out all the stories, the transcripts of the conversations that took place between the handlers,